So women don't need men, huh? Black women, if there's women in your life that's always negative about men, or you're watching stuff that's always negative about men, get away from it, especially if you want to be married. Just like you wouldn't want to be with a man that's always negative about women and watching all kinds of content about how women are trash and women are gold diggers and women are this and that. You wouldn't want that because that's going to reflect, that's going to come out in your relationship and manifest in your relationship in some way, shape, or form. You wouldn't want that, so don't do it to yourself either. Don't take in these crazy, toxic feminist ideas. No wonder a lot of young women are the way they are because you have older women who are supposed to be teaching the younger women in good ways about how to find a good man and how to be respectful to their husbands and how to uplift and lift them up, their husbands and all that stuff. You're teaching these young women how to hate men. You're teaching these young women to look at men in a negative way. You're teaching these young women that they're better than men. It's funny because when a lot of women talk negative about their husbands or their spouses, I'm just thinking like, you're not making him look bad. You're making yourself look bad because you chose him. We live in a day and a time where women can leave a relationship at any moment. We live in a day and a time where women can make choices. You're not a damsel in distress. You chose that man for a reason. Now, whether you chose him for good intentions or not, whatever the reason is, you chose him. You chose that man. So you don't look good dissing your husband. You look crazy because you made the decision to be with him. And if you're raising daughters and you have that mindset like the women on The View, it's toxic for her because she's going to go out there thinking that men are trash and I don't need a man, and then she'll be 40 years old by herself wondering why she never got married and had kids because of her attitude and how she was raised.
Do we need men?
No.
Do we need men?
Honestly, no.
Do we need men?
No.
Why?
Because they suck.
So there's this clip going viral online of a dozen women being asked the following question: do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives, only one. But when men were asked a similar question, do we need women, most of them said yes.
And by the way, I want to differentiate between straight men and gay men, because I think I would die without gay men. Nobody can gossip like gay men. Nobody can help you accessorize like gay men. Nobody can keep you from doing harm to yourself.
Well.
My husband, it takes a village of women to make sure that he's not emaciated, starving, and living in his own filth. He can,
Really?
you know.
Broadly speaking, I feel like men have proven largely useless. Like, I think in the political moment, the people who are
Guys, don't hold
saying
back.
what needs to be said in my party, it's all women. The very few men, with the exception of Mike Pence and a few others, are saying what they need to. But in life, like, I need my husband. I don't know if I need any other men, but he is irreplaceable.
Yeah, I think so.
But that's what we're all saying. We like our husbands. We just don't need men beyond that.
I always say this on the channel. The older women is supposed to be teaching the younger women, right? Most of the women on The View are 40 and up. They're married. They have children. They have families, right? And they were talking about these viral videos. And they talked about one viral video that said, do women need men? A lot of the women in the video said, no, we don't. And it's just so funny because it's like when those questions are asked, are these women thinking it? They're not thinking. You made me, I wonder if they're saying, I personally, in my own life as a romantic interest, do not need a man. But when you think of the whole ecosystem, when you think of all the structural things that we have, the buildings, technology, electricity, it's so weird that women say stuff like that. And that's why I'm so against feminism, because 60 plus years of feminism hasn't made women any smarter. Because if you're going to sit here and say that we don't need men, then you're just not, you're living under a rock. You are out of your mind. You are literally living in a cave in your mind. You're living in your own world. You're ingesting too many Marvel female superhero movies. Because we do. Because if all the men left the planet today, how are you going to get water? How are you going to get plumbing? What about sewage? What about your trash? Women don't occupy all of the jobs that make the world go round.
Exactly.
Women, for the most part, we occupy white-collar jobs. We occupy stuff like education. We occupy jobs like hospitality, customer service, places where there's air conditioning. A majority of men do ditch digging, and they do lumberjacking, and they do all this stuff that you don't see on TV, that's not spotlighted on TV because you're watching too many dramas where the man is the CEO, and that's why you think, oh, the patriarchy is bad and men are CEOs. A majority of men are not CEOs. A majority of men are not rich. They're either in the middle class or under the middle class, and they're doing regular jobs like construction. They're breaking their back. They're out in the hot sun all day, making sure that you and your children have the electricity and the air condition that you need to be comfortable. So when women say they don't need men, I feel like they're not thinking at the whole picture. Maybe they're saying, in my own personal romantic life, I don't need men as a romantic interest.
Interesting.
But they're not thinking outside of that. And so The View, again, older women who are married, basically talked about this topic, and a majority of them, except for one, said that they don't need men. They were talking negative about their husbands, trashing their husbands, disrespecting their husbands publicly, saying that their husbands are basically losers. And I'm just thinking, what do their husbands think about them? Like, not having any kind of respect for them, their husbands, their life spouse that they chose. And that's why I always talk about Titus 2, where it says the older women are supposed to teach the younger women. So many women are rejecting marriage, or they're getting out of their marriages. They're all about their self because of feminist women like The View, that are on The View, that cannot stand men. That can't stand men. And these women are old. These women are married. They can't stand their husbands so much, but yet they're still with them. They can't stand their husbands so much, but yet they're still engaged with them and involved with them. I feel bad for their husbands, but then also it's like, I'm pretty sure their husbands knew the type of women they were with. Men aren't dumb. They know the type of woman they're with, and these women didn't just turn disrespectful. They were always disrespectful, and for whatever reason, they went along with it, right? But what I'm saying is, if you have issues with your husband, deal with it behind the scenes. But you don't have to publicly make him look like a loser, because you're making yourself look crazy. You picked him. So if anyone looks like a loser, it's you. You don't know how to pick a good man, and you're upset with your decision. But these older women are putting toxic things out in the atmosphere for young women to pick up on. Now, thankfully, if you look at the comment section of the original video on The View, a lot of the comments are against what these women are saying, and praise the Lord. A lot of women in the comments are like, I love my husband, I need men, I want a man, all this stuff. So I'm glad. And I just think that there is a section and a sector of women, that a subculture of women in America who are pushing against this feminist mess, and they are opting and wanting more traditional lifestyles, and they want men in their lives.
I do not have time for this. I do not have time for you.
And I think that's great. I think that's good. And I hope it continues. And so what The View did is so sad and disrespectful to their families. And oh my goodness, do these women have sons? I'm sure these women have children and they have sons. Like, what do you think they are doing when they speak so negatively about men all the time and they're raising sons? What do they think the outcome of how their son is going to feel and how their son is going to move through the world? Realizing that my mom doesn't care about me. She says I'm not needed. I'm not necessary. A man is a man. So you could say, oh, I'm just talking about other men, not you, honey. But a man is going to feel that. Just like if you say all women are trash, a woman is going to feel that, even if you're not necessarily talking about that woman.
That's offensive.
You know, a lot of these women, there are so many people even now that are upset with this whole trad wife movement and everything like that. But they don't realize that this is what happens when you push to the extreme. People are going to go to the other extreme. I don't have a problem with the trad wife movement.
Thank you.
We went so far crazy with feminism, with radical feminism for 60, 70 years, and women realized it didn't make them happy, climbing the corporate ladder, waiting until they were 80 years old to have kids and all that stuff. It was crazy. They didn't accomplish what feminism taught them, so they're pushing against it in the most dramatic way by going all the way over to being trad wives and trying to be as traditional as they possibly can in this modern world. And so that's why balance is needed. But women like The View, they're just spewing hate, and they're helping young women pick up this hate against men. We need to stop these gender wars. We need a unity movement. Stay away from The View. Stay away from women like that on The View. They don't respect their husbands. They don't respect men. They say they don't need men. Sorry, they need gay men. One of them said, I need a gay man, not a straight man. Okay, if you didn't have a straight man, you wouldn't even be here. If you didn't have a straight man, you wouldn't be here.
Period.
It's ridiculous, these mindsets. Don't fall for it. Stop listening to ungodly women and listen to women that see men in good faith. Those type of women you got to look into.